All right, welcome to another episode of the Final Percent Podcast. And I have got one of my really freaking good friends here. And we're just going through the process of goal setting, stumbling out of the starting blocks a little bit on this first year. We're going to talk about the 100-day challenge, but there's something really important that I think every listener needs to know. Number one, guys, we just crossed 20,000 downloads. So I just want to tell everybody, thank you so much for listening to the Final Percent Podcast. It's been a labor of love. I know I go in and out on consistency, and we've been much better. We're actually going to talk about consistency today because it's something we all struggle with. But with that being said, with it being a digital download and things, I'm just going to take an inkling that all of you listening to this have some sort of technology prowess. You understand how to go somewhere and listen to something. If you're listening to this, I want you to know I appreciate you. However, I have one more thing, and I'm going to do this at the beginning and at the end of this call. I have one more thing that I need you to go to and listen. And my really good friend Derek here just released a song, and he's actually going to tell you where you can go listen to it. It was recorded at KMG, and if you have not had the pleasure of experiencing this guy from a musical standpoint, I'm telling you right now, you've got to do it. And if you can ever do it live, I'm telling you, he will blow your mind. But he just released a single. And before we jump into this, I just want him to tell you where you can find it. Then we're going to go into our goal setting exercise. And then I am actually going to say this again at the end, so you don't forget to go listen to this song, because we have got to support good music. We have got to support the quote unquote little guy that people tend to not know about because we're not backed by a freaking giant label. But I'm telling you, this music is as good or better than anything that the big guys put out. So Derek, with that being said, where can they listen to your new song?
Oh, Greg, thanks so much. I really appreciate that, man. It was a pleasant surprise. So thank you for the support. And just want to send it right back to KMG. Like, really appreciate KMG for and working with Drew to get this song. Feels really good to have the first song out. So you can find me first on Instagram, and my name is Derek Apt, Derek, A as in apple, B as in boy, T as in Tom. And you can look me up. The song is called The Gift. It's out on Spotify. It's out on Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube. It's on all major listening platforms. So if you want to get at me, if you have another source that you use, feel free to get at me on Instagram or Facebook. And again, yeah, it's Derek Apt, and that's how you can find it.
Perfect. And what we'll do is, if you guys go to because this video will be on YouTube, obviously, because we're recording a Zoom right now, and then it'll also be in audio. So if you're listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, we'll actually put a link to that in the description. So it's really easy for you to find. The two big places that people listen to are Apple Music and Spotify. So we will put those two links there. But then if you listen somewhere else, at least you will be able to find the name of the song, so you can go search it on your preferred method. Yeah, this guy is a wonderful person. I've met him through a real estate community that we are both a part of, and he's come to a bunch of different uh, events that the Final Percent has put on. And so one thing that happened at the event that happened at my house, he was front and center, playing full out, raising his hand, being super vulnerable. And he had no idea that I was actually trying to find somebody that I wanted to give out some coaching and really design and build a life for and with, just to, honestly help someone the way I wish someone would have helped me. And he shows up, and he shows up big. And so what we are doing is we're goal setting, we're figuring out different things that we want to get accomplished. And I came up with an idea based off of when Biden got into the office. And just to be clear, I don't care about right or left. I'm not pro Trump. I'm not pro Biden. I'm not really pro anything in the American government right now. I'm pro, let's just freaking be nice to each other and stop complaining about the other side. I just want to make a freaking awesome life and live in a little bit of peace. So I stay off of CNN. I stay off of this. But when he got into office, he talks about the 100 days. Every time a new president comes in, they say, here's my first 100 days. Here's my first 100 days. Here's my first 100 days. So it got me thinking, why don't we use that in our personal growth journey? Let's take 100 days and let's make micro commitments for our macro goal. Micro commitments for a macro goal. And we have this calendar. If you're interested in downloading it, come over to our Facebook group. You can find it in the Final Percent Network on Facebook, and we would be happy to have you do that. If it asks you, how did you hear about it? Just say from the podcast. But we have a worksheet on the 100-day challenge in there that you can get. Derek downloaded the worksheet beginning of the year. He's getting ready to crush 2023. We're sitting here at the 12th, and he has broken the chain. He did not get to 100 days. And even though I try to warn everybody, I say, look, consistency is key, but we've got to be able to be consistent. And boy, he came out of the blocks throwing haymakers every day, just like, I'm going to knock 2023 out before I get to December. And let's just say he didn't get there. So just so that other people don't make the same mistake you do, let's talk about what your goals were. And let's talk about, what did you find challenging? What was the most challenging to stay consistent on?
Well, okay, so here were my goals. 133 push-ups per day, 133 squats per day, 33 pull-ups, 13 minutes of free writing, stream of consciousness, 13 minutes of songwriting, 13 minutes of book writing, 13 minutes of meditation, 33 minutes of visualization, one social media post, and then the one that comes before all of that is wake up at or before 6:59 a.m.
Mm.
And there was a period of time last year where I was waking up at 4:44 a.m. and going on a run, and I was like really consistent for like a week. And then I dropped off. I dropped off, and so I do like waking up early. For me, ideally waking up right about 6 a.m. is good for me right now, and I want to get that earlier and earlier. But right now I'm like, if I can get up before 6:59, that'll be great, because I'm really working on that as well. Now, what should I keep going? Did you want to ask a question? I can kind of explain.
Yeah, talk through this. Talk through this. This is good.
Okay. So the other thing is, I actually didn't share the 11th commitment on there, which is also 3 minutes and 33 seconds of Kegels as well. So, strengthening my sexual health as well.
I love it.
And also, a goal in my business of marketing and real estate is to make a lot of calls, and I'm stretching myself this year to achieve goals I haven't achieved before. And I was like, I need to be making 22 calls per day, but I didn't want to put that on because I knew I wasn't going to make calls on Sunday, which is like my sacred music day that you actually had me implement.
Yeah,
so that wasn't in the 100-day challenge, because I was only doing it 6 days a week. So that's kind of like my big commitments. But on top of that, also I have the commitments of doing my classes. There's a lot of other things that I also do that I need to remain committed to. Doing my classes. I worked with you to set up 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, of making sure I'm doing 30 minutes of exercise, which I kind of like stacked on top. I said, okay, the 133 push-ups, everything in the 100-day challenge doesn't count. I have to also get to the gym and like spend some time in the gym as well. So, so basically what was happening for me is, one, I think I came out of the gate, this 133 push-ups, all the squats, push-ups, and pull-ups, I've remained consistent on. I've been doing that since the second. So I've been doing that every day. I started on the second, and that takes, I haven't clocked it. I think it usually takes me about like 25 minutes to get through all that. so 25 minutes, then it's another, let's see, to do free writing, songwriting, book writing, meditation. Um, that's another 40, about an hour there. So let's just say an hour and a half, then 33 minutes of visualization, 2 hours, and then one social media post. So we're already over, and I guess I just overlooked or didn't see that you were saying keep this under 1 hour.
Mm.
Um,
Well, and
and
especially
so
one thing that I think, you're also, you have all these other commitments, and you're saying these commitments that I know I need to have. You basically said I'm going to have all these new commitments on top of my normal commitments. And I
right,
think, combining the other ones, certainly appropriate, because I mean that's something that I did. And
right.
I think that, people get into a situation where they're scared to they're scared to play small, because then they don't feel like they're enough, or they don't feel like they're going to have a good enough year. But then they go too big, or it's going to consume your life. And even I actually had that same one, the wake up thing. I can't remember what mine was. I think it was actually very similar. I think it might have been 6:30 or maybe 7:30 or 7. I will say the reason why you will not find a wake up one on mine now is because I have this thing called a kid. And if I am not going to set my alarm that could potentially wake him up, because he needs some sleep. And then sometimes you're sick, sometimes you're this. So it's just like, you know, if anything outside the 100-day challenge, that just needs to be a personal goal, because sometimes when you're sick, you do need to sleep in. And that's why one of the things, like another thing I'm kind of combating is the idea of that 75 hard. I tried 75 hard. Um, and to be honest with you, I have a really good friend that's a medical doctor, and she says it's number one, it's way too macho. She's like, this just doesn't make sense. Because it's like, we had the cold snap of negative 20 degrees outside, and it's just like, you know, that's why it's hard. Go out and run. No, if it's negative 20, don't go running outside for 45 minutes. Um,
Yeah.
75 hard, I think much more for people is very similar to the 100-day thing, is doing anything with consistency. Doing anything with consistency. And when you start reading the rules of 75 hard, almost everybody that I know is breaking 75 hard, because it says no sparkling water. That doesn't count towards your water. If you eat even an M&M or a chocolate chip, you have to restart. So almost everyone that I've seen do it has broken that. And what we want to do is set ourselves up for success. And that's why I like things that are time based from a standpoint of the 100 days, because you're like, okay, am I going to travel in 100 days? Probably. Okay, so I need to
Yes.
make sure this is something, because one of the things that got me one time was I had to spend time on guitar every single day. But then I was traveling, and for the life of me, in one of these cities we were in, I could not find a guitar. So technically I lost. And so it's just
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, that's the thing that got me. And then there was another one where it's like, I got to get up at whatever time. And then I got I think I actually got COVID, and there's nothing in the world that was going to get me out of bed. And so you've got to be able to have enough forethought to account for life. So like, for instance, like your fitness, like what I would say is, instead of go to the gym, what I would say is strength train. So, because then it's not physical there, and then you can get the like resistance bands or something. You can throw them in your suitcase, and so there's no way that you're gonna fail. And then like I have so many resistance bands nowadays to where I can get chest in, I can do squats, I can do overhead press, I can do all these things literally just off of resistance bands. I've done a lot of research, and I will say it's kind of expensive for resistance bands, but there's a thing called the X3 bar that I got, and now it just travels with me everywhere. And it's resistance bands, it's a little plate, and it's a little bar, and you can literally do a whole body workout. But
Hmm.
I would say strength training, and then you can say, hey, I'll do this every day, and then you can say, I'll do strength training, or that's just a personal goal. So separating these things that you want to incorporate, but you're training into uh whether it's classes or audiobook. That's why, like, even on mine, I have 33 minutes of learning and 33 minutes of fitness. So most of the time, if I'm in the gym, I'm going to be listening to an audiobook. So that will count for my learning. So then I'm doubling up. So those 33, it's not 33 minutes and then 33 minutes. It's 33 minutes and I'm knocking out two things on my list. And so the other thing that I think, your calls, stealing one from me is the RKNM, the rekindle something, do a new relationship, and run maintenance on something. Because then that's easy. Then we're talking about 3 pieces of things you have to do every day instead of 22 calls. You were smart not to put that on your list. I mean, that's an all-day affair with some people. I mean, some people are so excited about getting someone on the phone, they will talk to you for an hour by themselves, and then you have 21 more calls after that. So, so why don't we talk a little bit about what are your new goals?
Um, yeah, I want to talk about that. Can I add a couple more things on like why I
Absolutely.
failed? Okay,
Yes.
cool. So I wanted to just share like what actually happened. So I was going strong till day 4. And you've said this to me for sure that like I'm the guy like he gets these big lofty goals and he gets 4 days in and then he just drops off and he disappears. And I like see the pattern. And I knew this time I was like, if I can get through 4 days, I think I'll have a lot better of a chance of like getting to the 100 days or at least getting past that. Here's what happened. I started on Monday night. I actually told myself I was going to start Tuesday morning, but I started Monday night because I was like, you know what? I can do this. Like I can get all. So right out the gate, I went and did like 2 hours of commitments before bed. Went to bed a little bit later, already started to get a little bit tired. Got to day 4 and I was already feeling that feeling of being like super maxed out. Like my muscles were sore from doing everything. I was like, the day felt so packed. And I was just thinking in my head, like, oh man, I hope I can like just grow into this so that I can continue for the 100 days. What happened was on Thursday night, I still had a lot to do. And I went and I cranked out the rest of everything that I had to do. And I was on the visualization. And I really think the 33 minutes of visualization, where that came from is in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. He has like a list of things that you can read that you read once a day. And in one of those things, so I've been reading that on my daily routine. And one of the things it says, I commit to spending 30 minutes of the day thinking about the person I intend to become. And so I've been reading that every day, but I haven't really been doing that 30 minutes. So I was like, okay, I got to be doing this. So I added it in as, as 33 minutes, but it kind of like is daunting. I kind of put it to the end and then I have like 30 minutes I got to tackle before bed to just like sit there and think about like who I want to become. But anyways, I'm doing that and I'm probably like 20 minutes in and I just started to have these like thoughts and it's really interesting. Right before bed, I would get this like download. Like it happened a couple times. I would get like some really cool idea. And I got this idea. I was like, oh, I can still make some sales calls. I'm just going to hit up the people who are active on Facebook right now. It's like 1 in the morning in Hawaii. So it's like 5 in the morning on the East Coast or whatever. And so I started, and it was actually a really cool experience because I was like, oh, like I had some really good conversations with people in the middle of the night and like really effective calls. And that was awesome. And that was great. I got to bed at like 2:30. I got everything done. I was stoked. I went and posted about this in the TFP group and I said, hey, this is what happened. This is what I did. I went the final percent in the night. But here's what happened. I missed my alarm the next morning. I woke up at 7:30. I opened my eyes. I look at my girlfriend. I'm like, baby, what time is it? She's like 7:30. I'm like, no, dang it. And I'm a perfectionist,
Yeah.
And so like um I was like, man, I already like I can't mark the X for that day. I cannot, it's no longer a perfect day. I've already failed. And it started this cascading effect where I was like, oh, well, I might as well just like take the rest of the day to like not be fully committed to the rest of the goals because it's already a failed day. Whatever. I'm already not going to mark it. I knew in the back of my head, don't miss 2 days in a row. Don't do it. I had like a big commitment that night. I had a late night that night, and Saturday I let it slip, and I let it slip, and then I let Sunday slip, and I have been remaining consistent with the 3 workout commitments, but everything else has slipped, and I haven't fully gotten back on board until then. So the things, and I started to really like get upset with myself. I was like, man, it started to trigger, you know, you're not really like you're worthless.
Mm.
I started to like I was really the beginning of this week, man, I was beating myself up. I was like, I don't feel like I can even accomplish my goals. I can't even do this one thing. And that has been the pattern for me of setting these unrealistic high expectations, burning myself out, and then beating myself up for not being like that high level of what I truly want to be. And so, the couple things that I need to know is like really having good process for like, okay, when I fall, like making sure that I'm minimizing the tendency to like just let the whole thing go and stay engaged on what I can remain consistent on and be able to track those wins too. And also like a good frame of like, this is how you get back up. This is how you pick yourself back up, and not going to the place of like you're a total POS for like failing, but like, okay, knowing these days are going to come. Like if you're doing the 100-day challenge, you're going to have a day, you probably more than likely are going to have a day that you mess it up, and being able to like not call it in, but like be prepared for when it happens so that you can remain consistent and keep moving forward. So those were a lot of the things that I really learned. So I don't know if you want to hit anything that I just said,
I
but I'm
love
happy to.
so I think there's a couple things that just fired for me that I think are absolutely necessary. Number one, uh the cascading effect. Boy, that I think that's what everyone on this call is going to need to hear and need to listen to, because you're right. You actually just messed up 10% of your day, and you let it turn into 100%, and then you let it turn into a couple more days. So big thing right there, big takeaway is the cascading effect. What failures in your life are you allowing that cascading effect to happen? And I think that, this is why when I was talking to you, I'm like, dude, would you mind if we just went live right now? Because there are so many people that they will mark the X because they would rather have a full calendar of X's and know that they lied rather than know that they actually did that. And so I love the fact that you're just like, I'm like, you failed, didn't you? You're like, yeah, I did. And here's why. And
Yeah.
I think that is so two things. Number one, understanding the cascading effect. The second thing, so here's what I'm going to do in solidarity with Derek. I am not going to hit my goals today. I'm still perfect in my goals. I'm not going to hit my goals today because I am going to restart we want to start on Monday.
You said Sunday.
I like Sunday because it's the first thing on the calendar. So if you're good with Sunday, I'm good with Sunday.
I'm good with Sunday.
Cool. So I'm going to, out of solidarity, I'm breaking my 100-day challenge. I'm going to restart with Derek on Sunday, and we'll put both of our calendars up in the TFP group and have everyone watch the progress, and Derek and I will trade videos and stuff as we're going through. The cascading effect I think is so important. Here's the other thing. I think there needs to be an addendum, a rule change to this 100-day challenge that we have, because here's the thing. On day 4 or 40, if you fail, you feel like crap. You feel like crap because there's nothing you can do to save the day. So here's what I propose. If you triple all of your daily commitments the next day, you can cross out the day before, because it's like doing an extra day. And that's a way to get back in the game. I think that could be really cool, because then it's like, oh, like now just to be clear, please leave waking up off of the new list, because trust me, man, there are sometimes, man, you want to be able to stay up late and talk to people. You want to be able to stay up late and do some freaking music. And sometimes, like, sleep, whether we like it or not, musicians don't always like it. We like it once we're there, but sleep is important. And sometimes you got to recharge your battery. So get that one off your list. What we'll tell everyone else who does want one of those time-based things where it's, I will wake up at X. So let's say that you don't wake up. How you're going to remedy that the next day, you have to wake up 3 hours earlier than whatever it says. So if you're wanting to wake up at 6, you better set your alarm for 3 in the morning, because if you want to be able to cross that day off and you want to make it right, Derek and I were just talking about a new concept that I'm coming out with, make it right. We want to be able to do that. And you know damn well that if you are struggling at 6 and then you make it right and you wake up at 3 that day, you are way less likely to mess up again, because you're like, man, I do not want to try to make that right. But in a lot of ways, this is what happens with life. If you do mess up, there is more work to make it right than just staying consistent, than just doing what you got to do. And so, I'll pick one of my things. I'm only going to pick one of my things and not do it. I'm not going to be like Derek and let it cascade. Just saying, shots fired. But I'm going to not do one of my things. So technically I got to restart. And then Derek and I are we'll do it together. And I actually think that Drew Dugan never really got started. So maybe we can get him to start with us on Sunday. I'll call him, and we can get a little contingent of people that need to either restart or need to start at all. We'll recruit people, and maybe I'll go live in the Facebook group tomorrow and let everyone know what we're doing, so that we can get more people on the 100-day challenge. But I really like 2 things: identifying when that cascade happens that really brings our proverbial dominoes of our life down. So that's the big thing. We'll probably call this podcast the Cascade effect, because I think that's happening to so many more people than they even realize, because they can realize, oh, I did this in the morning and then boom, 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 boom. My whole day is different. So I think that's incredibly powerful. And then also, if we do mess up, if we stumble, say we were sick, say we were this, say we were that, how do we make it right? How can we remedy it so that we can keep going? Because in the day of life, if you're late on your car payment, what happens? They don't immediately take your car. What do? They charge you a fee. Now, the fee in the 100-day challenge is you're going to triple your goals the next day, which is going to really, really suck for me, because that means I'm going to have to put down 30,000 steps. Oh my goodness. That is a lot of steps. I think I've only done that like 4 or 5 times. So I'm going to think twice on whether or not I'm like, I can just do it tomorrow. That's why we're not just doing a double. We live in the land of 3s over here. So, what is there anything else that you want to add on, the journey and everything? What's going on inside of your brain?
Well, one of the things that came up in thinking about the final percent, like when I posted that short video, one of the questions I asked is like, how do we consistently go the final percent? Because one of the things I know about myself is I like to think that I'm perfect, and I like to think that I can be perfect. And then perfect is basically limitless.
Yeah.
There is no perfect. So, and then when I don't make it, then I'm like, well, if I'm not perfect, then I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And I have to find that balance in the middle. And so there's the thing of like, okay, here's 100 days. Like, let's say I miss one and then I failed to triple it the next day. And I have to accept 99%.
Yeah.
And realize that for me, going the final percent means like being able to accept our imperfection too,
Mm-hmm.
and reframe the idea of what it means to go the final percent. Because for me, the idea of like I need to go like 100% every single moment of every single day and pack everything into there. Like that's not what it actually means.
No, and
So, I just wanted to.
that's a great illustration. A lot of people get that part wrong. The final percent has nothing to do with perfection, because there's 100% chance that people out there are going to go the final percent and they're going to give everything that they have and they are going to fail. The moral of the story here is what happens the next day. And guys, I'm here to tell you, if you do fail and then you fail to triple your goals, by all means, just triple your triple and do 9 times your goals to make it right. But that's going to be a slippery slope, because I'm not going to ever put down 90,000 steps. And so, yes, he's right. If I get sick and I can't do 10,000 steps, I remember when I got, I think it was my second vaccination shot. I literally, I couldn't walk, and I was doing 75 hard, and I got out and I basically walked around for 45 minutes. And, my wife was like, dude, this is dumb. Like, the fact that you're doing that. So, I think the other thing that we might
Some
do is,
Goggins style, man.
yeah, well, one thing I might do is, we should also, we'll come up with this within the group, within the Final Percent Network Facebook group. So we already know how you make it right, but then let's have some sort of provision in there. How do we have an exempt day? Because, like, for instance, if Conrad, for instance, is getting born that day, how much am I going to care about hitting steps? No, Conrad's my priority. So there's certain things with sickness, with or the other thing that we could do. I actually like this. So I was building a thing called 33Z. So it was 33 days long, and it was supposed to be easy instead of 75 hard. And what it was the first day that you missed, you had to double your daily goals. The second day that you missed, you had to double your daily goals and then put $133 to a charity of your choice, to a piece of debt, like pay something, or into an investment account. And then the third time that you did it, you had to triple your goals, and it was $333. So maybe we go back to something like that, because then, it's also pushing the first one is a double, and then the second one that happens. And then we had one in there where if you just didn't want to do something, it was $1,000 towards debt or an investment account. So if you were able to say, hey, I paid $1,000 on this credit card, boom, I just didn't do my day because I don't want to, you could mark that day off, because you're still really propelling your future forward. So I think one of the things that we'll do between now and Sunday is we'll put those very clear addendums to the rules in there, so then it's easy to keep moving forward and it's easy to have life happen. And the biggest thing we need to do is make sure that we never get into that self-sabotage where we're like, I'm worthless, I can't even get 4 days in, I can't even, because it's just not true. And that's the big thing that we need to do, is how do we get to the finish line? How do we get creative? How do we make sure that we just love on each other? And then, to your point, like, I'm actually more impressed with what you said, where you say, hey, if I miss this day and I got all the other 90 days, especially if you miss like day 7 and then you get all the other ones, most people let the cascade happen and they either hit a restart, or they just never start again, or they just quit. And so it's those people out there who are like, hey, you know what? I got sick for that week, but right when I was done being sick, I kept going because I'm committed. And, my score on the 100-day challenge was 84%. Okay, cool. That's better than you were by quitting. That's better than you were before you did it. But, let's see if we can, because guys, and I was telling Derek this, I don't know if I've ever said this publicly. I have never actually completed the 100-day challenge. And the reason I say 84 is that's the day that I missed last time. Because of the stupid guitar, I didn't get to the 100-day challenge because I couldn't find a guitar to practice on. And it very clearly said, play the guitar. Now I would be more careful with my words. I would say, you know, make sure you put meaningful intention behind getting better at the guitar. So then in that case, I could read a guitar magazine on technique. I could memorize fretboard things on an app on the phone. You have to be able to put things in place so that you can still get things accomplished. So, Derek, number one, thank you so much for, again, being open, honest, vulnerable about your goals. I think this cascade effect is going to resonate with a lot of people. And I think, honestly, the other thing that gets born out of this is we are going to be able to put things in place so that more people do the 100-day challenge, because they know that it's not just a zero-sum game. Oh, you didn't wait. You woke up at 7:30. You failed the whole thing. Good job. Like, we don't want to do that. We want to set people up for success. And as promised, I'm just going to retouch on this. If you found any value in this, I want you guys to go listen to The Gift by Derek Apt, because he's not only an incredible musician, an incredible human, but it really does mean a lot more than I think people realize for us musicians. We wear our heart on our sleeve. We put a lot of stuff into this music that I think that most people just hear a song. You have no idea what it takes to take it from our brain into your ears. And there is so many people involved and so much in there. So we will have a link in that. I really, really, really want you guys to listen to that and share it. And if you're willing, you know, don't just listen to it off of your subscription thing off of iTunes. Buy the dang thing. It's like 99 cents or $1.29. You know, I guarantee you, if you're listening to this, you got more than $1.29 worth of value. So just freaking buy an awesome song, support an incredible musician, and let's see what's possible if we actually do this crazy thing called giving a crap about each other. So go listen to the song. Thank you so much, Derek. And I really look forward to restarting my 100 days right alongside you, buddy.
Thanks so much, Greg. Really appreciate it, man. Much love.
All right.
It's the final percent. The final percent.